Hello, everybody. Sorry. It's kind of chilly out today, so I have a couple of layers on. But I want to talk about the show Sister Wives, but the aspect um, of my experience in that realm. And this is not something I ever thought I would be discussing because there's parts of my life that are very private and personal. And I don't go into fine details when it comes to sex, etc. So I want to talk about my experience in choosing to be with someone that was in an open relationship. And when I was single, I was open to romance with men or women, whoever I felt an attraction towards. And it was always consensual. Um, it's just the way it was. I've always had relationships with men and of a physical, emotional, mental nature, etc. And I've always had romantic relationships with women that didn't include a long-term situation. For some odd reason, that's just the way it was. So years ago, after my children grew up and went off and did their own thing, I met someone. I met a woman out and about. Just I don't remember how we met because it was a while ago. And I was very drawn to her. I was very attracted to her. And she informed me that she was married. She had a husband and two children, and she had an open relationship. Her husband was not involved in the romantic side of things. And so I wasn't going to be a part of a threesome type situation. It was just her and I ended up loving her as my friend. We would go out and have fun and things like that. But we also had a very close friendship. Someone I talked to, someone I had confided in, and her, myself as well. And so her husband knew, she had an itch that had to be scratched outside of their relationship, which was for herself only. And so when I would go to pick her up before we went out, I would go in, I would say hi to her husband, her kids, etc. So he knew me, I knew him, and everyone was really nice. And it's not like her and I held hands around her kids. Her kids knew me as their mom's friend. And so it was a really fulfilling relationship, or friendship, I should say. And that went on for a few years. And then we eventually parted ways. And that was, God, it had to have been about 10 plus years ago. So, anyways, during that time, everything was out in the open. She did tell her husband everything that was happening, and it was really nice. And when I look at these relationships today on Sister Wives or Seeking Sister Wives, I see a man who's almost a dictator, or a woman who's a dictator, who is in control of certain aspects. And I always see one person who's really not really on board per se. Mine was completely consensual. I see a lot of these sister wives relationships not being consensual per se, whether it's the wife, they're seeking a sister wife, but the wife in the relationship is not really open to it. Danielle and Garrick, she's high and I don't know, they remind me of Jeffrey. He doesn't remind me of that, but he reminds me of Joel Osteen, actually. But Garrick is on board. Now they really can't find someone in the States, so they're finding quote unquote, mail order brides and giving them money and they're going to Brazil and whatever the case is, but they're constantly saying it's God, God wanted this for us. And that's what a lot of the couples are saying. And I'm just not seeing that because it's actually not biblical and it's actually against the law. And so this is my thing. If you have to convince someone or use religion to control someone, to get them to do what you want. I see a lot of the couples where one person is completely reliant on the other spouse for money, and the mind games, the control, it's so cultish. It really is quite disturbing. So in my situation, her and I, we had dates, we went on dates, we were friends. It was all encompassing, but her and I didn't fall in love. We loved one another as friends, but it was not going past that. So it was very, very different. Plus, her husband actually and I were friends too. So it's just a really interesting dynamic. But when I see it the way it is today and portrayed on TV, it's just really, I see sick. And so that's what I wanted to talk about. Take it as you want. I'm not going to discuss fine details. This is it was part of who I am and just my observation. I am happily married and we do not have an open relationship. I don't want to be with anyone else, and neither does my husband. So, anyways, that's it, and I'll be back.